Hello, my name is Lizzie, and this is Lizzie's Literary Life, and today we are going to be tier ranking all of the concerts I've been to this year. So this is the rare video that is not book or fiber arts related, but here we are. Concert going is a major hobby of mine. It is something I really very much enjoy. I love music. I love live music. I love going to things. So I've been to 16 concerts this year and in 2025, and we're going to tier rank them. Now, I want to disclaim that I enjoyed every single concert I went to this year. Like, none of them were bad. And if I that's the first thing that, like, they're all good. So, like, even bottom tier is still good and I had a great time, right? The other thing I want to disclaim is that when I'm, like, putting things in different tiers, it is not me putting the artists or their music in those tiers. I'm tier ranking the experience that I personally had at that show. And of course it's like related, like how good of a performer they are and whatever, but there are definitely, and I'll talk about this, there are definitely artists that I absolutely love and I think they are excellent performers, and I just had a less than perfect experience at the show because of whatever situational thing there was. So that's the other disclaimer. I highly recommend you check out all of these artists because I genuinely love them all, and none of them are bad. So that's your disclaimer. So I'm going to record my screen on my brand new MacBook, which I am so excited to own. I'm going to record my screen. So it is all loaded up. I've got 5 tiers. I didn't name them anything fancy, sorry. S, A, B, C, and D. Again, none of them are bad. There's no F tier. And then the 16 concerts I went to this year are down at the bottom, mostly with photos I took. The ones that are not photos I took at the show, I will explain. And they are also in chronological order. So we are starting with the very first concert I went to this year. And let's just get moving. First up, we have the headliner was Arizona, the band, and the opener was Moody Judy. And I was there for Moody Judy. Arizona was great, but I was there for Moody Judy. I got into Moody Judy last year when one of their songs, Velvet Connection, was recommended to me by Spotify. And I just love their music. I think they're so fun. And they opened for Mr. Wives at a show I went to last year, and they were great performers there. That was last year, so it's not included, but Moody Judy is great. I'm going to put this concert in C tier, and that is for 2 reasons. Number 1 is that going to a show for the opener is, like, great, and I do really enjoy doing it, but it's also, like, it's less of a crowd experience for the band you are there to see because few other people are there for the opener. And so, like, there's always, like, unless you're, like, right at the front, which I wasn't at this show, it was just, like, no one else was there to see them. And so it was, like, that's always a little bit less fun. It's still fun and still worth it, and I love doing that. The other reason is that I met the band after the show, and I was so awkward that for, like, a week after, I was like, ugh, because I just was really awkward. So that's the only thing. That's the reason it's in C tier. Could even be D because of that, honestly, thinking about it. We'll put it in C for now and see where we end up. Next up, we have Maud Latour. Maud Latour is phenomenal. Love her. Gonna be a megastar, pop girly. The opener was Maris, who I hadn't seen before, but I was not familiar at all with Maris before this show. But you'll see I went to see her again, actually, because I thought she was excellent. So, great opener. Maud was awesome. In the photo, let me see if I can zoom in. No, I can't. Because she like came out into the crowd for one of the songs and stood on a chair, and she was like right there. This one's going in A or B. I'm gonna put it in A because I loved Maud. I've seen Maud before a couple times actually. But it was great to discover Maris, and I did actually have a really excellent time with that show. Okay, next up, we have the first Boys Go to Jupiter show. So, Boys Go to Jupiter is a band I discovered this year, the beginning of this year, because someone was talking about them on a podcast or something. Anyway, I love them. And this show at Sonia in Boston, the other two shows were also in Boston. This show was so fun. It was like, I was like right there, and because it's a small venue, and I got there early because they're confusing about door times, and I tried to get there early anyway, but I was extra early because I was confused about door times, and I just had an absolute blast. Like, one of the most, Boys Go to Jupiter just put on some of the most fun shows I've ever been to. This one's going in A tier also. I was blown away by their showmanship, having not seen them before and having just discovered them really like a month or so before this show, and I just was blown away. And then we get to my 4 Orla Gartland shows. So I actually have a vlog of this whole trip, but one of my favorite musicians is Irish icon Orla Gartland, and her latest tour was, US tour, was during my spring break in April last year. And so what I decided to do was go to 4 shows in 5 days, Boston, New York, Philly, and DC. And I vlogged the whole experience. I will link it up here. It is such a fun vlog. I highly recommend it. It was just so fun. But I'm going to rank all of these shows individually. First up, we have Boston. Boston is going to go... I know I have to be discerning. So, like, they can't all be A's and S's, you know? I feel like Boston is going to go B. Phenomenal show, or A, it could be A. Again, these are all so good and such amazing experiences. Boston is going to go B. It was the first show of the tour, or maybe she was in Canada before that, but it was at Paradise Rock Club, which is a really, like, the stage is really wide. It's like a very wide but not very deep venue. Very wide stage, so like there's a lot of people can be front row, which is cool. So I was like close, but I wasn't close to the middle, or maybe I was. I don't even remember. This one I'm putting it in B because it was the least memorable of the 4 shows. That's what I'll say. Next up, we have New York at Webster Hall, Orla in New York at Webster Hall. This one's going in A. I had a fantastic day. In New York. I had a fantastic night after this show, which I go into a little bit in the vlog. The venue was doing, if you bought a drink, you got a free shot or a $5 shot. So like I wasn't driving after, so I was having a good time. And yeah, this was a great show. Loved it. Loved it. And then we have Philly. I'm just going to put the picture big on the screen right now. Top 5 moments in my life. If you watched the vlog, there's the whole experience is on video in that vlog. But basically, she brought me on stage. I had met her in a coffee shop that morning, and just randomly, and I met the whole band. and she brought me on stage to like hype up the crowd during Backseat Driver, one of the songs, and we sang into the mic together, and it was truly an absolutely amazing experience. And so that is our first S. First S tier is Orla in Philly. I just will never get over that moment, truly. And then we have DC. DC was the last show. I was, I think, farthest back at the DC show of those 4 shows. And for that reason, and also the fact that I was just like sad that my trip was almost over, I'm putting DC in B along with Boston. And also just for some differentiation, I love Orla shows. They're so fun, but they can't all be S and A, like I said. So DC is going in B. Then we have, and this show I actually took no photos at, and I will tell you why. This was so the next show is, the opener was Rafaela, who is another absolute favorite of mine. She's actually the artist I've seen the most times in concert. I think I've seen her 8 or 9 times in the past 7 years. And then the headliner was Samia, who I am newer to, but I do enjoy. And this day, it was in June, I think, maybe, or no, it must have been in May. I don't know. Whenever it was, I was like just really down that day. I was not having a good day, and I almost was like, I'm not going to go. I just was honestly feeling really depressed, because of whatever, it doesn't matter. But I almost didn't go to the show, and then I went anyway, and I am still really glad I went. But I was not in the best mood, and I just was not in the headspace. And so that's the first reason that this is going in D. Still a great show. Again, nothing on the artists. I love Rafaela so much. I cannot wait for her next album. She said she's written the album. She's just like in the process of like getting it produced and released. But I can't wait for her to tour again. She's such a fun performer. The other reason this is going in D is because this was at a venue in Northampton, which is really close to where I live. So I didn't have to go very far. Normally, like, Boston's like a good 2 hours. But it was a seated venue, which was a little bit just of a strange vibe, especially like once Samia was on, people had like gotten out of their seats and gone up close to the stage, whether they were supposed to or not. But for the opener, for Rafaela, everyone was kind of seated, and it was just a little bit awkward. Like, it was, and she was saying it too on stage. She was like, I've never played to a seated crowd before. This is a little where you all clap politely. It's, it was just like, the vibe was not there. So I kind of wish I'd gone to the Boston show, which was, I think, the day before or the day after. I probably would have had a better experience, but still love these artists. That is a picture of them. I just took no pictures of that show because, I don't know, it was because of the aforementioned reasons. It was sort of a weird vibe. And then we have another one that was sort of a weird vibe and is going in D for that reason. Again, great band. And that is Paper Lady. Paper Lady opened for Boys Go to Jupiter at Sonia, which is this show in the A tier. I didn't talk about the opener for Orla. I should talk about the opener for the 4 Orla shows before we get to Paper Lady. The opener for the Orla tour that I went to 4 shows on was Fightmaster, who is a phenomenal musician. ER Fightmaster, non-binary artist and actor and like comedian. They are so cool and so great, and their music is fantastic. So I enjoyed seeing Fightmaster 4 times as well. Back to Paper Lady. Paper Lady I discovered when they opened for Boys Go to Jupiter at Sonia in this show. They were great at that show. They were still good, but they're a much smaller band. Boys Go to Jupiter is a pretty small band, so like even smaller band opening for the small band that's Boys Go to Jupiter, and I didn't quite realize that. And so I went to their show again in Northampton. I think if I had gone out to Boston, it would have been a different experience. But I went to their show in Northampton, and it was fun. I had a good time. They performed great, but it was not packed, and the bands that opened for them were not that great. And I mean, they were fine. They weren't like bad, but I didn't know them, and I wasn't like completely blown away or got attached. So that's a D tier show. Just because, again, the vibe was sort of weird just because it wasn't a packed room, and yeah, I don't know. Not a comparable experience to any of the other shows. And then we have Illuminati Hotties. They are another band that I love. I love all of these bands. I saw them in Hartford, Connecticut, and it was really fun. There were 3 openers, all of which were really good. And Illuminati Hotties was great too, and I had a really good time. And I think I'm gonna put it in B or C. It's not one that like really stands out in my brain, so it can't be A. I feel like it can't be on par with OG, so it's got to be C, but it could be moved to B. B and a half. And then we have Haim. Haim this was the biggest show I went to all year in terms of like capacity of venue. They played the stage at Suffolk Downs in Boston, which I'd never been to before. It's actually a converted racetrack. Like it was a horse racing venue that they converted into a outdoor concert venue. I had a really good time at this show. It's gonna go in B. Haim was awesome. The opener was Flower of Love, who was good. Didn't go and listen to her after, but she was good. The reason it's B and not higher, and this honestly could put it in C, but I think it's going to be B, is that there were these 2 men who, they were not near me for the opener, but they pushed through the crowd. There were like different sections, and I had paid for a close-ups ticket. It was standing, but it was like, I paid for a pit ticket basically. And there were these 2 men that pushed to the front of the pit, near, like kind of right before Haim went on, which, by the way, concert etiquette lecture. If you, concert seats, standing room is first come, first serve. There are people for a lot of these shows that line up hours and hours in advance, and they deserve the front. Whatever space is there when you get there, that is where you stand. Like, I know some people, and I've heard this opinion that like, oh, it's general admission, everyone paid the same amount, so like, I don't care, like, you can push through, like, we paid the same amount. That is not the case. It's any sort of first come, first serve. Just because you don't cut in line, just because your groceries are the same price as everybody else's groceries. Like, it's just rude. So, sorry. Back to the thing, but that's my little lecture. Pushing through a crowd to get closer at a general admission show is just rude. Anyway, these 2 men, they were like, I think they were a couple. They pushed through to the front near where I was, because I'd gotten there early and stood in line. I wasn't front row, but I was like maybe second or third row of standing. And they pushed up to near to where I was, and they were really tall, and they were really drunk. And they'd been standing there for like 5 minutes, and there were like 5 minutes maybe left until Haim went on. And I actually was like, I was so pissed. that they had pushed in front of me. And so I was like, hey, like you're kind of tall, and like I can't really see if you're in front of me, and I've been standing here since 5:30, and maybe could I get in front of you? And they were like, haha, of course, you're so polite. And I was like, well, you're not. I didn't say that. Anyway, they did let me in front of them, which was good. But then they were just drunk and screaming. And that, it didn't ruin my experience. I really tried hard not to let it ruin my experience. But my experience would have been better if they had not been there. Drunk men and concert etiquette rant over. Next up, we have the Charlie Bliss boat show. It's going in A. Oops. I still am not used to using this computer. It's going in A. I'll tell you why it's not an S, but let me tell you about it first. The picture is actually not of the band. It's of the bridge, the view off the boat, because this show was on a boat. Charlie Bliss is a phenomenal band. They are so fun. They're excellent performers. I've seen them before. And I love them. I love their live performances. Actually, Rafaela opened for them, and so I went to see her, and then I saw them, and I loved them. That was last year. This show, they played on a boat. Like, it was a concert cruise situation off New York City. We went around, basically around Manhattan, and they played their show on the boat. It was so cool. What a cool concept. It was a Thursday night, and I took a day off work. I took a Friday off work for this show. I wasn't going to go, and then I was like, I have to go see Charlie Bliss play on a boat. So I did. The only reason this is not S tier is because I was not as close as I would have liked, because I was like trying to sort of split my time between like experiencing the boat situation and experiencing the band. So like I watched the opener, and I was really close for the opener, and then I went out onto the deck of the boat along with a lot of other people to like see some of the views, and then I didn't kind of get back inside where they were playing early enough, so I was a little farther back than I would like. Could have been an S tier experience, but A tier, still excellent. Phenomenal show. Then we have the Beaches. The Beaches are going in C, simply because I really enjoyed this show a lot. The Beaches are great. They're a Canadian girl band, and they were really fun. They were great performers. They did a really great job. I just am like less of a fan of them as I am of some of these other bands. I went to the show because I love going to concerts. Like, I just saw that they were playing, and I like knew one of their songs, and so I was like, of course I'll go. But it was, and I did have a really great time, and I listened to them a lot leading up to it. So I knew their music by the time I saw the show, but I haven't really listened to them much since, because I just am less of a fan of them as I am of some of these other bands. So they're going in C, but I had a great time. The opener was Debbie Dawson. This was at Roadrunner, or it was in Boston somewhere. I have a note in my phone where I keep a list of all the concerts I've been to with openers, venues, dates, etc. Another thing I want to say is all of these shows I went to by myself. I love going to concerts by myself. I find it's a totally different experience than going with someone else, and I just don't think not having someone to go with should stop you from experiencing what you want to experience. So I am a huge fan of going to events and concerts by yourself. Then we have the Maris Caroline Kingsbury show. I'm going to put this in B. I'm going to put this in B. Maris, like I said, I discovered at the Maud Latour show. She's a phenomenal performer, and she was doing a co-headline tour with Caroline Kingsbury. And she was great. They were great. I really enjoyed Maris's set. They like kind of alternated. They did a few songs, then a few songs, then a few songs, and a few songs. I really enjoyed Maris's parts. Caroline Kingsbury was still great, just less my personal style. And so I knew her, was less familiar with her music, and so I just enjoyed those sections a little bit less. But Maris was phenomenal, and it was a really fun vibe. It was a small venue. Is it something ballroom? And now I can't remember. But very cute, fun venue. They did karaoke beforehand because they didn't have an opener. I didn't get there early enough to get my name on the list. It was like VIP was names on the list, or like if you got there way before doors. But I still had a great time. B tier show. And then we have my second Boys Go to Jupiter show, which is when they opened for Jukebox the Ghost at Royale in Boston. Now, Boys Go to Jupiter, we know I love. I've already put them in A tier. I love them. This show is going in C simply because their set was awesome. It was so fun. The crowd was honestly getting into it because they're just such good performers, even the people who weren't familiar with them beforehand. But I was less into the headliner Jukebox the Ghost. And I have to be so honest, I did leave a little bit early because I just was tired, and I mean, they were great. Like, Jukebox the Ghost they're great musicians, nothing against them. I just was like, I'm not really here for this. So that's why it's going in C. Boys Go to Jupiter themselves, phenomenal performance. The concert experience as a whole was like I didn't even stay for the whole thing, not in a rude way, but I just wanted to go home. 2 hours to drive home, and I wanted to go home. So I did. And then the final concert I went to just a couple weeks ago, last weekend, was the Boys Go to Jupiter winter show. In Brooklyn. Now, before I tell you where this was, I'm going to tell you about this experience. So Boys Go to Jupiter it's 3 core people who do the writing, and then they generally perform with a 7-piece band, including those 3. So they're a 7-piece band on stage. It's vocals, Jess on vocals, and then Caleb and Luke on keys and guitar, and then bass, drums, and then they have a trumpet and a trombone. That's their main set. They're based in Brooklyn, so this was like a hometown show, and it was a one-off. It was not a tour. It was a one-off show, which is why I went to Brooklyn for it. And they like kept hyping it up that it was going to be so special. I was like, I have to go. They had a string quartet on stage with them, along with their 7-piece band. And it was just, they were all decked out. It was like glam ball prom gown themed. It was so fun. I don't even know how to describe this show. Like, just the energy was absolutely incredible. They were so good. They did a tap dance in the middle of it. You can see I put it in S tier. And I was right up front row on the stage. Jess, the lead singer, was like drinking a bottle of wine on stage, and she like handed it to me. I'm like, yeah, of course, thank you. I had the time of my life. So this is where we landed. I like truly, like, I don't know how to describe the Boys Go to Jupiter winter show and how fun it was, but it was so fun. I also, like, there was a couple people, well, there was this one girl that I met at this show at Sonia in Boston in March, and we were chatting before the show because we were, like, both front in line. And then I saw her again. We followed each other on Instagram. I saw her again at the Royale show, and then I saw her again. She's based in Boston, also traveled to New York for the winter show, and we were chatting beforehand, and we just had such a great time. And I met this other girl who was super nice, and Just such a good experience. So, yeah, I don't know what to say, except I'm so grateful to have gone to all of these shows this year. I have, I think, 3 concerts for sure scheduled for next year in the spring, but more things will pop up, I am sure. Let me know in the comments. Tell me about your favorite music or your favorite concert experiences if you're a concert goer, or something along those lines. Like this video, subscribe to my channel. There will be more bookish, mostly bookish, a little bit of fiber arts related content coming soon. And this was just a one off, but I hope you enjoyed if you're here. And I will see you in the next one coming very soon. Bye!